The 2018 midterm election is on track to become the most expensive midterm election ever in U.S. history. More than $5 billion will be spent as of the end of this election cycle. That includes more than $1 billion raised by Democratic candidates for Congress. So we crunched the data from the midterm elections, from the result, and we found that among the 80 most competitive House districts, 1/3 of the Democrats who had outraised their Republican opponent lost. Some of the most successful fundraisers got really close to winning a seat and flipping it for Democrats, but not quite. One of them is Amy McGrath.
This is my new mission.
Who raised $8 million in a super red district in Kentucky, which is almost unheard of for a first-time candidate.
We desperately need change in our politics in our country.
She got pretty close, but Andy Barr, the incumbent, still edged her out by a couple points. There's also MJ Hagar, who ran in Texas. She did a good job fundraising. She had the most viral campaign video of the cycle, but she still lost. So even though small dollar donations can be a good sign of momentum building for a campaign, it has a lot of limitations in whether that will translate to votes at the polls. People who are giving $50, $20 at a time might not live anywhere close to your district. They're just really excited about your candidacy and want to support you, but they're not in your district to vote for you. Just because you're getting a lot of these donors doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to win, because it matters what you're going to do with that money. Are you going to spend that money to build a well-built campaign? Are you going to spend that money to build a strategically sound ground game? Even though it didn't translate to victories for each of these candidates, it helped keep the map as expansive as it was for the House and as competitive as it was for the House. The money that all these candidates were able to raise really put more districts into play when they otherwise would not have been, because they may have been considered a safe Republican seat.
I don't know any ways to say this other than El Paso, I love you so much.
On the Senate side, the real moneymaker this cycle was Beto O'Rourke. He raised more than $60 million. That was unheard of for a Senate campaign, but he still lost. Beto had been trailing in the polls behind Ted Cruz, so it wasn't a huge surprise, but it also does show you the limitations of how far money can take you. A lot of his donations did come from inside the state, but still it just did not translate into success at the polls. On the Senate side, we're seeing a lot of outside group spending on both the Democrats and the Republican sides. The Senate Majority PAC, that's the super PAC that's aligned with Senate Democrats, and they spent more than $100 million this cycle defending many of the most vulnerable Senate Democrats who are running for re-election.
Obviously, we fell short, and that's disappointing.
But they did not succeed. Republicans gained seats in the Senate. On the Republican side, the super PAC helping Senate Republicans was the Senate Leadership Fund. They also spent a lot of money, close to $100 million, but they clearly spent their money in a more targeted and strategic way that allowed Republicans to gain seats. All of this money raised in 2018 doesn't give us a clear picture for 2020, not yet. It tells you there's a lot of energized donors on the left, but it doesn't tell you whether they're all going to be able to consolidate behind one Democratic presidential nominee. When it comes to 2020 and President Trump's re-election campaign, he already has raised more than $100 million for his re-election. That's more money than any re-election campaign has raised this early in the presidential cycle, and it's the day after the midterms.